Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great because today I will be talking about all the movies I watched in February. I actually watched quite a lot of movies in February, especially considering like for the first half of the month I didn't watch anything at all. I ended up watching 13 movies in February and I'm very excited to talk to you about them all. So let's just get started. The first movie that I watched this month is Lover, Stalker, Killer, which came out in 2024 and I give 2 to 5 stars to. This one is a true crime documentary that I decided to check out because I saw on TikTok people talking about how this has such an insane twist in it, and I was curious. So I watched it, and I do have to say the twist in real life, I can imagine that was nuts, but in a documentary, very predictable. Like I saw that coming from miles away. I don't understand the people who didn't see it coming because it was obvious. I do think again that this is a very wild story and very. I don't. When I'm talking about a documentary, I'm not talking about like the real life story because like I can judge your life, you know. But I do think this documentary, just the pacing was very slow. Then next I watched Upgraded, which came out in 2024, and I gave 4 to 5 stars to. And honestly, this is a mistaken identity kind of movie, rom-com, and typically that's not like my favorite trope for a romance, but I actually quite enjoyed this one. I thought it was decently executed and like the lie wasn't that big of a deal. It's just really enjoyable. It's very cheesy, very typical rom-com, but it's a really fun time and the actors had great chemistry, so it was a really fun watch. Then next I watched The Marvels, which came out in 2023, and I gave 5 out of 5 stars too. Yes, shoot me, my popular opinion, I know. Like last month I came on here to talk about how I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that much, and now I'm telling you The Marvels is a 5 star. Everyone's gonna kill me. But I just thought this was so much fun. Like, yes, I agree with a lot of the critiques that the villain is a bit weak, but like to be fair, a lot of MCU villains are very weak. So I'm not gonna criticize this movie on that. But I just had so much fun watching it. I thought the pair up of Kamala Khan and Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau was so good. I really enjoyed how that was done. I thought them switching places was such a fun dynamic and created for some really fun fight scenes. I love Kamala Khan so much, and I love her family, and I love how they were included in here. I just I laughed out loud so many times while watching this movie. Like honestly, I don't think I've had this much fun with an MCU movie since Thor Ragnarok. Then next up, I watched Studio 103 Biggetjes, which came out in season 3, and I gave 5 stars too. They are redoing the musical. They're currently they're currently touring with it. I am going March 31st. I'm so excited. So of course I had to rewatch the original. I love it. This is the love of my life. This is a musical that I adore. I grew up with it. I think it's phenomenal. And every time I watch it, I find new things to love, which is also something I love because I've seen this a billion times. Then next I watched Fantastic Four, which came out in 2005, which I gave 2 to 5 stars to. 2 years ago, started a project where I wanted to watch all the non-MCU Marvel movies that are seemingly becoming canon again. And I kind of dropped off the face of the earth of that, but after the cast announcement for the new Fantastic Four and the new poster we got, I got very curious to check out the old Fantastic Four movies, especially because there's only 3 of them, so it's easy to catch up with them. So that's why I decided to check this out. And honestly, this isn't as bad as most people say it is. It is very ridiculous and very 2000s, but it's so enjoyable. Like I had so much fun while watching this. It's also really funny, not always intentional, but very funny. It just that the actual story of this feels very weak. I do like it as a bit more low stakes. I like a low stakes superhero story, but I don't know, it's a very poorly built plot, basically. Then next, we have Catherine Magische Medaillon, which went to 2004, and I got 5 to 5 stars. There's another rewatch. This is a childhood favorite, and honestly, again, loved it. I think this held up so well. Like, I haven't seen this in so long, and it's so fun. It's so iconic. I love the visuals. Honestly, like this, like the visual effects at times a bit poor, but that's like the budget, the time period, but it does look so fun. It's a bit camp, if I dare say it, and it's just so much fun. And next, I'm back to the Fantastic Four world with Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which comes in 2007, and I give 2 to 5 stars too. And I'm gonna say it's wild to me that this movie came out a year before Iron Man. Like 2007, 2008 is when Iron Man came out, when the MCU kicked off. I don't know, that's such a wild concept to me. But this wasn't terrible, not good. It's definitely worse than the first one, but it still like has that fun part to it. And both of these movies just felt very nostalgic to me despite never having seen them before. It's just something about it, and yeah, and still enjoyed it. Then, because I can't get enough of Fuckboy Chris Evans, I rewatched What's Your Number, which was 2011, and I gave 4 out of 5 stars too. Something about this rom-com just works for me, and it shouldn't, because the whole concept of this is so misogynistic. It is crazy, but for some reason they pull it off, and it's such a fun time. And like I said, Fuckboy Chris Evans works. Then next I watched Maybe I Do, which came out in 2023, which I gave 1 star to. This was bad. And what sucks is that if you focus on Emma Roberts and her character and her love interest, I forgot the actor's name, but it's the same guy from Holiday, so I know the two had chemistry. And that's why I clicked on this, because it's on Streams, which is a Belgian streaming service, and a picture on it was just the two of them, so I thought it was gonna be about the two of them mostly. And I do think that there is a decent movie in this if you focus on the two of them. It's just that it focuses on their parents instead, and their parents are horrible people. Yet this movie tries to convince you that they are not, and they are. There's only one of them that isn't a terrible person, but for the rest, terrible people. And next we have Fantastic Four from 2015, which I give 1 star to. Like, everything about this movie is so incredibly bland, so incredibly dull. Like, I don't understand how you can watch the 2005 and 2007 movies and I'm like, we're gonna do that again but better, and they come up with this shit. Like, it's not necessarily super bad. I do think in ways the stories is a bit more interesting. I just don't think it's that well executed. I think the biggest flaw of this movie compared to the other two Fantastic Four movies is the cast chemistry. I think the casting in the first two was brilliant. Like, their chemistry was amazing, and that's the best part about this movie. Is what saves them to me. And these could be acting to a wall instead of to each other, and it would be no difference. They were ending with a couple of rom-coms, starting with The Other Woman, which came out in 2014, and I give 2 to 5 stars. So this is one that I've been meaning to watch since 2014, basically. I've been interested, like semi-interested in watching this one for this entire time, but like never interested enough to actually click on it. But I just thought fuck it and clicked on it. And I don't know, there was just something about this genre of movies, kind of like John Tucker Must Dies. This is more of a teen version of this, where there's these women wanting to get revenge on a scumbag man, and I want it to work every time, but they don't for me fully. It was fine, it just wasn't anything worth mentioning. Then we also watched Polaris, which came out in 2024. I also give 2 to 5 stars too. I feel like my main complaint with this movie is that I didn't really like the female main character, and I also didn't really think the main couple had chemistry. But it isn't a terrible movie. I do think the concept of it is interesting, and the side characters were a little bit fun. It is that there is nothing remarkable or special about this. And then lastly for today, I'm talking about Sweet Home Alabama, which comes in 2002, and I give 4 to 5 stars too. And don't ask me why. Like, I don't know how that happened either, because nothing about this movie should work, because honestly she picked the one guy. There you go. Typically I always say with movies that focus on like a love triangle like this one does, I'm always like, movies like this always either like make neither of the options likable, or they always go with the one option. And this one went with the one option, and I still liked it. How did they do that? I don't know, but I had a really fun time watching this. Anyway, that was everything I have for you today. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these movies, if you watched them, as well as some movies you watched in February. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? I should have played it cool instead.